Hi, everyone, and welcome to our training on Microsoft Stream. We are so excited that you have all joined us today. My name is Coral Graves, and I'm the Outreach and Event Specialist here at OIT. This session will be recorded and posted on a YouTube channel in the next coming days. Today, we have Dennison Rice, our in-house Microsoft specialist, to cover many aspects of Stream accompanied by live demos. Dennison?
We are going to be talking about a lot of the new upcoming changes that Microsoft has made to Stream, to the Stream platform itself. Now, I'm actually going to go ahead and start sharing my screen so we can dig into all the new, exciting new features that they've already shown here. So give me one moment here. All righty. So you should be able to see my screen right here. So as you can tell, this is the new home page of Stream. It looks a little bit different. For those of you who have been using Stream for quite a while, you might not be used to this view. This is the view that you're probably most likely used to. So this is now labeled Stream Classic, and the new version of Stream, the new more exciting version of Stream, is called Stream on Sharepoint. Now I'm going to go over really quickly about how to get to Stream on SharePoint, as well as let me go ahead and talk about really briefly what Stream is. So Stream is a application that Microsoft uses for their video. And it now, with this new Stream on SharePoint, is a new way for us to be able to connect all of the amazing features that Stream has had for years, but now it's going to be far more better connected to the rest of the M365 suite. Just to get some more clarification, the M365 suite is what you see, which is your Outlook, your Teams, Word, Excel, and a lot more. So with this new Stream, it's going to give you a far better way to access everything when it comes to the Microsoft ecosystem. So going back to it, how do you get to Stream on SharePoint? Well, the easiest way to do it is from the Office page. So from the Office Start page, if you want to go, the easiest way to go there is going to your browser and then typing in office.com and then signing in from there. So that will get you to the page that we're on right now. Now that we've moved over to this page, the next thing that we want to go ahead and do is you can either do it in two ways. You can select the little waffle up here, which is what I like to call it. You can also call it kind of like an app drawer. And you can go down to this stream icon right here. The other thing that you can do is go to the app, these apps right here, click on it, and you'll see the stream icon. Both locations will get you exactly what you need. It's just whichever is your preference is the biggest thing. So what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to go ahead and go and move over to this new Stream platform. So one of the biggest things that you'll notice here is just how much simpler it is when it comes to getting over to it. So the first time that you normally do a classic Stream, it takes a little bit longer, it's a little bit more delayed, and it doesn't feel like it's that well connected to the rest of the Office products. Well, as you can see here, this was almost instant, right? You click on it and you move directly over to this new showing of Stream. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the really quick basics of what this page shows and what it entails. And then we can kind of go on from there and kind of dig really deep into some of the cooler new features that they've added. So one of the biggest ones that I want to talk about is our activity feed, which is what you see here. Activity feed, activity log, either one works. It's just whatever is your preference. But within this activity feed, what this does is it talks about what is happening with your videos. Stream is primarily a video-focused platform. And with this newest launch of Stream, Microsoft has been wanting to make videos feel more like files than they are anything else. So that is kind of what this activity feed kind of does for you, right? It shows all of the videos that you have interacted with in a certain amount of time, and it goes back pretty far, as you can tell, and keep going. And within this, it's going to show you exactly what's happening with each of those videos. So there's frequently watched, if it's been shared with you, who it's been shared with, if you've edited it, all of those wonderful things are all going to show up here. This is also another location where you can actually, if you wanted to narrow it down just a little bit, you have filters on the side here, but you also have this great thing, which is shared. So this will show you all of your videos that are shared directly to you. And then of course you have favorites, and then of course recently opened. It's just another way to kind of narrow down what you're seeing in this activity feed or activity log. The next portion that I want to go ahead and focus on outside of the activity feed is actually our upload button. So one of the biggest things about this whole new platform is, and I'm sure you're already asking it, is how do I upload videos? How do I get my videos that are either stored on my computer or stored somewhere else? How do I get it onto this new stream platform? Well, the easiest way to do it is just clicking the upload button. And we're going to go through a really quick one, right? So easiest way, you go here and you click this, click whatever the video is. I've got this one already pre-made and pre-prepared. So I'll go ahead and click that. It'll start the uploading process. As you can tell, it can take some time. It just kind of depends on whatever is happening. And so it's going to go ahead and do that in the background. And eventually our activity feed will actually show that newly uploaded video on there. And you may also find it in our recommended feed, which I'll go ahead and talk about in just a moment. But once that video gets uploaded, it will get uploaded into your OneDrive, to your personal OneDrive. That's another thing that I want to talk about too about this platform is that unlike Classic Stream, you would see a lot of videos that are shared not just with you, but shared amongst the university, where here, this is showing more personalized things. This page is more personalized. It's showing stuff that is shared with you and videos that you actually have stored in your OneDrive. This is where it's pulling most of your information, your OneDrive or a Sharepoint page that you have shared with you. Now, we're going to actually jump right into, I know I'm going over a lot, so we're going to slowly build our way into it. But the next portion that I want to kind of talk about here is our recommended feed. So these are videos that either you have been viewing quite a bit, or they're videos that you've edited or something similar to that. They're ways that Microsoft wants to try to help you get organized when it comes to special types of videos. Now, of course, you can click on any of these videos as well as any of the videos that are in the activity feed and be able to view them, which we'll do in just a moment. And within this too, you can also have shared settings. These shared settings can also show, as you can tell, there's an open, which is you can either open it in the file location, so it'll take you to that specific location that the video is stored, or you can just hit open, and what will happen is it'll open up another panel, or I should really say another tab in your browser, and then it'll start playing that video. The same thing goes here. But you also get shared settings here. These controls are also, I just wanted to note that these controls are also in our activity feed as well. So if I wanted to do the shared here, you can view them here. So either one, it'll show up. Just remember the three little dots is where you're going to go for your shared things. So now that we're here, right, you have three different options and three different ways for you to share your content. With multiple different people or groups or something similar to that. There's an email that that you can do. There is a copied link, so that is probably one of the quick and easiest ones, right? You'll click it and it'll start that process of how you can share a video with someone. The biggest thing too in this process is, if you notice, and if you have shared anything within OneDrive, it's very similar. The menus are very similar. Um, so that is kind of one of the beauties of having Stream far more integrated, or I should say far more connected into the Microsoft ecosystem, is that it makes sharing and a lot of some of the other things and a lot of the sharing tools that you would use in other platforms, or I should really say the other Microsoft apps, are going to be very similar, if not the same. So for this instance, right, if I wanted to share this particular link, which would be just a regular copy link, um, I can choose where, if I want the link to make it to where anybody within our organization is able to access this. If they have access to the link, they'll be able to view the video, or I can make it to where it's much more specific, right? We can get more granular or even a lot more broader, as you can see here with this anyone who has the link. And then you can also do specific people. If you click on specific people, you can also put in either the group or the name or the email of that person that you want to share the video with. And then within this same menu, you'll also have whether it is your viewing controls. You'll also have a block download here. So whether you want someone to be able to only view the video and they can't edit it, or if you want them to or if you want them only to be able to view the video and they can't download it, these are things that you can toggle on and off and change however you like to make you feel much more comfortable when you're sharing it. That way you can give that type of granularity, apparently that's a hard word to say, that you normally can get in any sort of sharing environment when it comes to like OneDrive or Teams or something similar to that. So I'd say that probably our video has gotten close to finishing uploading. And actually, as you can see here, it just showed up in our activity feed. Normally it would show it here, but apparently it's still kind of in that process. But we're going to go ahead and move over to the video player, which is probably one of the biggest things here. And then within that video player, I can actually go a little bit more in depth about this button here. So we're going to go ahead and click on here. And we actually have our wonderful video here. So I just clicked on that video that was in our activity feed. As you can tell, it hasn't automatically started playing the video itself. That's just because if you've noticed in some instances, sometimes when you click on a video, you don't want it to always start playing. So that's kind of one of the big things that they've changed and made it a little bit easier for just everyone in general to be able to do that. But I want to stop here now that we've moved over, and I want to see if Coral, have there been any other questions about kind of what I went over? I know there was a lot, so just want to stop and make sure that if anyone had any questions, I can kind of answer them.
There aren't currently right now,
Okay,
but I will let you know if there pops up soon.
perfect. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump into our new and improved video player and stream, which is super cool. And as someone who has been kind of slowly seeing everything being built within this new platform of Stream, it's really amazing just how much that they've brought to the table, and really just showing how much care trying to push when it comes to making the video experience just as good, if not better, than the than classic stream. So right here, so what we have is our video. Within here, you can actually click this big play button, and it'll start the process of playing the video, which is that cool reel that we had at the very beginning. So within here, there's a couple of things I want to note before we jump into some of the other more granular things here. So we have our video title, and then we also have the date that the video was uploaded, as well as how many views. It shows the owner, and then it's also showing a file path right here. So all of this is just an easier way for you to better understand like how this video player works and how it shows. If we had a description here, we would actually add it here. Now, of course, some of this view is a little bit different than if you were, say, someone who is just viewing the video, just because I am the owner. So as you can tell, there's like a couple of spots that I can click on and start editing. But if you are a viewer, someone who is viewing this video without actually having ownership status, you won't actually have these spots where you can edit it. But just wanted to throw that out here. The next thing that I wanted to also talk about in this lovely player is our controls here. So if you've noticed, it's very similar to how some video players like YouTube or stuff like that, where you have your normal play pause. You can have your skip forward, your skip back 10 seconds, and then of course your volume controls. Then you have a couple of playback settings here. So you can change the quality here. And then there's a couple of other things that you can change as well. There's some noise suppression, which we'll actually go through in just a moment. The other thing that I want to show you is we're actually going to start up at the top here. So these controls are our or just video controls within this specific player. It's not you have this new one, which is, so just in case you're watching this video, right, and you think, oh wait, I need to upload a video of my own, because this video really just made me think, you know what, I need to upload a new video. So this is where we can go back to the exact same thing that we had here, right? It's very similar process. You'll click upload and it'll open up your file explorer on your computer, and then you'll be able to navigate from there and find the video that you want to upload. The other thing that we have, which is a newer feature that's been added, which is really, really cool, is a record. So this goes back to that button that you saw right here. So I told you we were going to get back there, so now we're here. So you can click this record button, and what will happen is it'll move you over to here. I actually have this pre-set up, so that way you guys don't have to wait through the hustle and bustle of it kind of slowly loading it. So within this process, right, we have our, as you can see, it's a recording platform, right? So right now it's taking in my camera and taking in my wonderful surroundings. But there's a couple of things to note within this. So first of all, this allows you to record not just yourself, but you can also record the screen. So if I wanted to record essentially what is all showing up here, I can do that within this lovely recording studio that we have here. The other thing that's in here is a couple of effects, right? So if I wanted to change my background, right now I have it blurred. But if I wanted to make that to where I have some of the pre-made backgrounds that you see here, if you notice, some of them are very similar to the ones that you see in Teams. A lot of the controls actually here are very similar to ones that you would have in Teams when it comes to just presenting yourself. But of course, you can add backgrounds if you would like. And then you can also use your screen as a background, which is a really interesting concept that they have here too. And then of course you can have a couple of different effects where you can do filters, and photos and a couple of other things. This big button right here is essentially when you want to start the recording, which we'll get into in just a moment. But essentially you can click this button and that'll get you started. There's a couple of other options here, which is, if you just want to make sure that you don't have to worry about your video being on or anything like that, you can just do mic only. You can change the position of the video. So if you wanted to mirror it or unmirror it, you can also do a mute. You can go into device settings, so that way you can tell the exact audio device that you want to use for this instance, right, for how you're recording your video. And then the other thing is, of course, your screen recorder. Now, I know I've already said this a little bit earlier before, but this timer here again is for 15 minutes. So you have, in this video recorder, you only have about 15 minutes to record. And as you record, which we'll go ahead and actually start right now, you get this lovely, cool little countdown here, just so that way you kind of remember and understand exactly what you're looking for, what's happening, and when you're ready to start. But as you can see here, your timer starts to count down as well. So that is just another reminder there for you to say like, hey, remember, you're going to need to wrap it up in X amount of time or something similar to that, because you do have about 15 minutes to record. If you need to do longer recordings, of course, you can do a meeting recording in Teams if need be, or something similar to that. But within the small confines of this video player, or I should say video recorder within Stream, you can actually use this. So let's say I'm finished. I don't want to do, I don't need to go any farther from where we are. So I can go ahead and hit this pause button here. Now, as you can tell, the timer is stopped. My recording time is stopped. And then I can actually go ahead and hit next. But the other thing that I want to talk about just before we move on, outside of this specific spot, is a retake. So just in case, if you already knew that you've messed up and you wanted to go back over, you can hit this retake button. And what that will do is that'll start everything back over. And as you can see, you get this lovely spot here that talks about if you want to, do you want to delete the clip? Because that's essentially what happens when you're doing the retake. It will delete the actual clip that you had just recorded, and then it'll take you back to right where we were before. So next is we're going to go ahead and hit the actual next button, and that gets us to here. So the thing that I want to emphasize here is this kind of gives you a really quick way to show the exact clip that you have. The couple of options that you have, which is your play pause, you have where you can skip and move forward within the confines of the reel or the video clip itself. And then of course you can download the video just in case just so you know, like if you know that this is going to be a stellar recording, you can go ahead and download it before you even finish getting out of this page. But the other thing is that if you click on the video recording itself, right, the clip itself, you can actually move. That was an interesting way, but you can actually trim the video. Now, of course, you can only trim the edges, right? So you can trim the very beginning or the very end. So if you know that you messed up a little bit at the very beginning, but it doesn't really matter, so we can go ahead and trim that down. If you know that you need to trim the end, right? You stayed on a little bit longer, you can do that as well, and you can move it. And it gives you exact timestamps within there. And then from there, you can go ahead and hit confirm, and then that will upload your video, that new and improved video. So we'll go ahead and hit this. So now we have the video. Now it's clipped perfectly to how we want it. And we're going to go ahead and jump into publish. So now that we have hit publish, that's going to essentially upload it to your OneDrive. All of this is, remember, again, it's personal. So it's your OneDrive that it's uploading the video to. And then, of course, it gets you to this nice page here that will show you your video, and it will show you everything else that you have. And then, of course, you can start the process of sharing, all that good stuff. So now that we've kind of come full circle, right, we're back to where we were on the stream player. The next thing that I want to go ahead and go over really quickly is the move to and copy to button. So both of these do around the same thing. It's just one is actually moving the video itself, physically removing it from one location, and then moving it to the other location, which I'm going to demonstrate really quickly. So this is what the move does, right? This is within my own OneDrive, and then I can tell it exactly where I want to share this out to, or where I want to, I should really say, where I want the video to be posted into. So if I want it to be posted into whiteboards, I can plop it right here. and do move here. The other thing to note really quickly is that you can also use this feature to move a video into, say, Teams or something similar to that, as long as you have access to those. But you can use the exact same process and do it that way. But this is you moving it to your personal OneDrive in this particular example. Now, of course, you can create a new folder too. And just in case you want this one to be very specific, you can create a folder and then move it into that spot. So the next one right here, which is copy to, like I said, they're both pretty much the same. It's just slightly different operations on how they do it. So instead of actually moving the file itself physically to a new location, copy to will take a copy of that file and then move it directly to that new location. So that way you have essentially a copy of that video in two different locations, just in case you want to be safe. You can do it that way. And then the last one that we have up here is our download. So of course, if you love this video, right, and you want to make sure that you can have it onto your local machine, this is where that download comes to, right? And it's just as normal as always. You can go ahead and hit download, and it will pull in your video. As you can see here, it's not going to pull in the transcript or any of that other stuff, just because those aren't inside of the main video portion, but it'll download that. And then you'll have that video stored on your local machine. As you can see here, there's a whole nother portion that just popped up, right? This is our video settings. So within here, there's a couple of things that I want to go over. So our first one is thumbnails, which is a very new one. But if you are anyone who is used to the YouTube realm, you might find that this is something that you have seen before. So the thumbnail would be what most people are seeing when they are viewing the video just before it starts. So similar to when we are on this recommended screen, this first gosh darn, apparently I'm having a hard time, but this first spot that we see here, if I were to change the thumbnail on this particular video, it'll actually show whatever I want it to rather than this first portion here. Most of the time when it is going to these videos, most of the time when it creates its own thumbnail, it's actually doing it from the first sequence, or essentially the first video sequence that it sees, that it'll populate here. But we can change that. Easiest way, you just click the upload button and you'll find a picture that you like, and it'll plop right in there for you. And then you'll be good to go. So as you can see, you can just click on whatever you need, and then it'll pop in here and you'll be good. You can also edit the thumbnail to where you can frame it exactly how you want it to be. You can select, move things how you need it to be, and do it that way. The next portion that I want to move over to is our About Video. So this About Video toggle, what that really does is it makes the description and your description, your title, and a couple of other things visible. So that way, whenever someone is coming to visit this video, they actually have a title on the video. They actually have a description. You can turn this off if you would like, but it's just a toggle there that makes it a little bit easier for you. The next thing that we can see here is our transcription and captions. So for this particular video, since we recorded it, it didn't generate the captions automatically, but you can click this generate captions, and of course you can select the out of many languages that are here, you can select the language that you want. We're just going to do English and hit generate. That'll go ahead and start the process of generating captions on the video. As you can tell, it can take a little while, and that can be determined on how long the video is, how big the video is. Very similar to uploading, depending on how long and big the video is, can determine how long it takes for the captions to appear. Just for time's sake, I've actually have a spot where there are captions already made. So I have a video here that's already has all of our captions pre-done. And so now we have everything here. So As you can tell, you have each of the you have your captions that are on the video, but you also have the transcript. And the cool thing about this is that it's also showing the timestamp in which the video is, or in which these words are being said, or something similar to that. Now, we all know that the auto-generated captions aren't perfect, right? So if you need to change or edit those captions, you can go ahead and do that here, right? You can go ahead and click this edit button that pops up right here. You can change it to however you like, and then once you're done, you just click done, and then bam, your video or your caption or your transcription has been edited. The captions and the transcriptions, I should really say the captions are being pulled from the transcription. So, or from the transcript is the actual term, but so that is the reason why whenever we need to change the captions, it's all going to come directly from the transcript. And then just in case, you don't want to do it directly in here, there's a lot that you need to do. You can always download your transcript file and then edit it that way, or change it however you need. Or say you're moving this video over to a different platform, you can get your transcriptions file right here. The next portion that I want to move over to, and we'll go back into our video settings, is our chapters. So this is a cool feature that we have, and if you are used to YouTube, you may be used to this feature. So in YouTube, I think it's actually video markers, but it's something similar to that. So essentially what happens is you turn this on, and then it opens up this nice little tab here where you can create chapters. So this is usually for longer videos, but it doesn't really matter. It can be a short video or something similar to that. But essentially what would happen is you'd hit new chapter, you'd describe whatever that new chapter is, and then you could put a timestamp. And then from there, that makes it so where if you're watching this video over, you can skip to that specific chapter. Instead of having to go, say, if I have a video that's talking about science, but I'm talking about, or astronomy, I should say, and I'm talking about black holes in one section, I can go into the chapter section and click on that black hole spot, and it'll take me directly to that spot that I started speaking about black holes. So that's just kind of one of the coolest things that you can have when it comes to chapters. That's really, really amazing. I know I kind of spoke about this as well on the transcription, because it does do something similar to that, right? If you know where that is, it'll skip to that specific spot within the video itself. See, we just did that. So just skip to the specific spot. But your chapters does the same thing. It'll skip to that spot. And you can go from there. The other thing that is really, really neat, and I'm just going to do this, is if I put on my captions here, you can of course edit it however you need, and then of course you can copy chapters to your clipboard, which is really nice. But the other things too is that these chapters just make it so much more accessible for everyone. The other things that we want to move over to is our comments. We can go over to comments here, and within our comments, we can go ahead and add different types of comments. It'll tell you who commented. It'll tell you when they commented and the timestamp of when they did it. You can also put timestamps in the comments, which are really cool, and then you'll be able to actually click on it and go to that specific spot in the video. These comments are going to be, anyone who has access to the video will be able to leave comments on that video. So that's just another thing here. And then the last thing I want to talk about in our video settings is our wonderful noise suppression. So this just enhances the audio and makes it a little bit easier for you to be able to, for your video to be able to make it easier for your audience to be able to hear what's going on in the video and who is speaking. So this will do that. All right, so I know this was a lot. Again, it was a lot to talk about within this whole portion. And of course, as you see here, this little setting has it to where you can turn on captions and turn them off. But the last thing I want to talk about here is our share. So this, again, as I told you about earlier, is in the activity logs location or activity feed, is the share button. So of course, as we talked about before, you can click here, you can click share, and then it'll give you a slew of options for you to be able to share this with others. The other cool thing within here that I'm going to skip to really is just this copy link at current timestamp. So say you're at a certain point in the video that you really want your friend or something or someone else to be able to see, you can click copy current timestamp, and what will happen is it'll create a link for you that is for that specific timestamp. So then that way, whenever someone goes and opens up that video, it'll from that link, it'll take you to that specific timestamp that you wanted someone to view. So that's one of the cooler things. And then really quickly, I want to talk about this managing access. So what this managing access button does is just gives you that little bit more granular version of who has access to this video. And you can manage that, you can change that, you can add people here. You can get rid of links, copied links that have been shared out that you don't want shared out at this point. You can do all of that. As you can see here, there's this nice little big stop sharing button too that you can do. So there's a lot more granularity within this window here. So I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to go ahead and move back to our main stream page. But again, I want to stop for just a moment and see if Coral, do we have any other questions about kind of where we are or
Yes,
about this?
we have a few questions.
Of course.
The first one is asking how to share with a class.
Yeah, so that is a great question. So one of the quick and easiest ways that you can do this, I usually recommend, is you can actually do a share link. If you do the share or copy link, right? So you can just do the copy link, and then you can make it to where it's just specific people, right? And then you can just put in your classes or your teams, actual because that's where you see this group location. You can actually put in that, and then that will actually make it to where anyone who is in that class will have access to it. Then once you are done putting in your class, essentially in here, which is really, to be more specific, the actual team itself and not just the individuals that are inside of that class. You can do that here, but we're going to just go with the team itself. From there, you can go ahead and hit apply, right? And then, well, of course, I have to add someone. But anyway, you can hit apply. It'll give you this cool link here. You can hit copy, and then you can move it directly over to them. The other thing that you can do is if we go back to here on our activity feed, right? You can also use this share function here and go to Teams. So what this does is it opens it up and makes it a little bit easier for you to share it directly to a team. As you can see, apparently I'm not signed in, but what it'll do, it'll give you access to a specific team that you want to share it with. And again, this kind of goes back to kind of what we were showing, what I just showed before, where you can put in that team here, and then it'll share it directly to them in that direct channel to it. It'll usually put it in the general channel to be more specific. And then, of course, you can always change how you want it to be shared. So that is how you can share it that way. What were the other questions, or was that kind of the main one that you saw?
We have a few more. The next
Okay.
question is, in the video player, is there an option to turn on the closed captioning when watching a recording?
Yes. So that actually shows up right here. So you can actually do this. You can turn it on or turn it off. This will start your captions for the video. I'm actually going to see if I can mute this really quickly to kind of go through it. and I may or may not have a lot of stuff, a lot of speaking portions here, so it may not show up. I'll actually have to find a different one. But essentially, so as you can see here, our captions have just started. I'll have to go back to a different spot. And as you can see here, you have your captions here. You also have those transcriptions. So that is where you can turn it on and off.
Perfect. And then the last question that we have is, and do the videos from class initially go to Stream or to OneDrive? Where is OneDrive?
Yes, so so videos that you share, it all depends on how the class video was recorded. If this was done via Teams meeting, right, and the recording and the meeting was set up to be a channel meeting, then that video recording will go directly to the actual general channel usually, but it just depends on how you've selected it. But it will go to the Teams Sharepoint page, which is accessible directly within Teams. You can actually just go to the Files tab, and we actually have a document that we can share that will tell you exactly how to get there. But essentially, you go to the Files tab, and then there's going to be a Recordings folder, and then there's a View Only folder, and then that recording will show up there. Now, if it doesn't show up there, then the other location that it can show up, and in this particular case, it would mean that it was a normal meeting, so just a regular Teams meeting that you do, that you recorded, it will show up into whoever started the recording's OneDrive. So say I was the organizer of the meeting and I also started the recording of that Teams meeting, it will go to my OneDrive. Now, if I was the organizer of that team meeting, but say someone else, John Smith started the recording instead of me, it will technically go to John Smith's OneDrive. Even though I'm the organizer, whoever starts the recording is the person whose OneDrive it goes to, but the recording will always be shared out to everyone who is in that meeting. So that's how you would get there. And then I will show you exactly where you'll actually find that recording itself. So we're actually going to go to OneDrive really quickly here, and you'll actually see a folder within your own OneDrive that's going to show up as recordings. So you would go to your own personal OneDrive. Of course, you go to recordings. There's going to be a recordings folder, and then you should find the video that will show up right here. It'll show up in this folder, and it'll be in this long list. You may have a long list, you may not, but you'll just find your video in here. So that's the other location. Now, of course, if this is a team, right, we'll just jump right over to my actual team that I have. If this is a team, you'll actually find that recording, like I was telling you before, the recordings location, which is right here. And then you're going to go down to View Only, and then you'll also see the recording itself show up here. So those are the two locations that you can find it. The team, if you're looking directly inside of the team, that's going to be the SharePoint page for the team. But if it's your OneDrive, of course, you're going to go to OneDrive. So those are two ways to access that recording. It all just depends on how it's been recorded.
And those are all of our current questions right now.
Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll jump back into the Streams homepage and just kind of go over just a couple of small things, and then we can kind of transition over because we have a message from Amanda. So the biggest thing is that I wanted to speak on about this new page is, again, just kind of how everything's laid out, right? So everything is here to make sure that it's a lot easier for you as an individual to access your videos and videos that are shared with you. And everything that is built into this is to make it so much easier. Again, this is why the sharing controls are very similar to how they are for OneDrive. This is the reason why they are moving it between, say, sharing it between teams or even to other applications like To Do here, are just far more connected to the M365 suite than it was in the current, or I should say, in the previous iteration of Stream. This has been one of Microsoft's biggest ways to try and make Stream a platform that is far easier to use, albeit maybe a little bit more complicated at first, but a little bit easier to use for everyone. That's the reason why they also created this new recordings button. And the coolest thing about this whole new platform is that it makes it easier for everyone to be able to it makes it so much easier for everyone to be able to um, view videos as nothing more as files and be able to move them around like files would be, right? Um, Whereas with the previous version of Stream, it was a little bit harder to actually do that. And Microsoft is continuously growing and changing and adding new things to this as well. They're trying to make it a better platform than what it was before, trying to make it easier again for everyone to use, and be able to bring the features that we have been wanting to come to Stream, that are finally starting to kind of appear themselves. So with all of that being said, the other thing that I did want to talk about really, really briefly too is if you are searching for videos that you need to find, right, and you know that you have it shared with yourself. Um, as I said, you have this cool activity feed that's here. You can search within here by keywords or something similar to that. But the other location that you can use to search is actually here. So now, one thing to note, this search is technically going to go and search everything that across the Office ecosystem, but it does try its best to kind of pinpoint stuff in the direct team or the direct Microsoft application that you're in, right? So it'll first start there and then it'll kind of slowly branch itself out. So for instance, I wanted to search for this one, right? We can just type in Stream. And one issue is that there's a lot of stream videos, but I can go ahead and start to go a little bit further in and we can go down to more results and that'll specify for that. But I can do the same thing with like recording or something similar to that. It'll start to try and specify exactly what you're looking for through that. So that is another way for you to search for videos and search for not just videos, but also files. But that's the other reason why it's so nice that they have kind of integrated it on this Microsoft Office screen, this Microsoft Office start page, because it makes it easier again for you to be able to search, be able to create, be able to access all of that content. And so that is kind of the biggest things that have kind of come to Stream and that have continuously changed, that have started to change on Stream. I think that is pretty much everything that I have. And the main thing I just want to note is that, like I said before, Microsoft is continuously changing, updating, growing. And I want to say this by I just really wanted to kind of speak about this, and say this is the reason why Microsoft is moving themselves into this newer direction. They are trying to make it easier for everyone. With that, Coral, were there any other questions that popped up that I
No,
have not answered?
I think we're good. There's no more questions.
Okay, well, perfect. Well, then what we'll do is we can transition over to, if you guys do have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. We can always kind of start that process of kind of getting, helping you out with any of the new stuff. The M365 team is always here and ready to support for any new questions, especially with this new stream experience. I know it can be a little jarring at first, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes really, really cool and really, really intuitive. So the M365 support team is always here to help. And with that, I'll actually give it back over to Coral, and then I think we have a message from Amanda as well.
Hi everyone, Amanda Pritchard here. I was not able to join you live in today's session because I'm double booked. I've got a seminar that I'm attending at Microsoft in Irving, but I did want to come to you live in spirit and just thank Dennison for the amazing information that he shared today. He walked me through everything that he was going to tell you about using the new Stream interface. And I am so impressed with what this technology can do and how easy it is for us to use. In fact, I'm doing my recording from the record option in the new Stream interface so I can send you this quick clip. I know you've probably already heard from the information today that the old classic Stream is retiring. So as we move forward with that changeover, we will communicate with you next semester about any changes or impacts that it has. The primary change is the new interface that you've seen today and demonstrated by Dennison. That's what we're going to be using moving forward. So it's great that you're getting a head start being familiar with it. This is where we want all of your new videos, your new recordings to be stored. When it comes time to move that old content, it's not going to the retirement village with Classic Stream. We will move all of that over for you. We've got a tool that can do that. So please don't worry that you're going to lose any of your old content or information. We'll be in touch and communicate further next semester with that tool and how we're going to implement that migration. All that means is we'll tell you how and when we'll be moving that content over and when it'll be available to you. As we move forward with this process, we'll stay in constant communication. In just a moment, we're going to pull up that survey slide so you can share your feedback on the usefulness of today's session. In that survey, it'll also have information for you to connect with us on social media. That is a great way to keep apprised of any of these changes and be informed of any future updates or sessions like these where we can share information with you to help you be successful at your job. Thank you so much for joining and for trusting us to share this information with you. If you have any questions, please remember to reach out. We are here to help, and we look forward to seeing you at the next session.
Thank you, Dennison, for going over many great qualities of Stream on SharePoint. We really appreciate that. Additionally, if you're needing to review this session or needing any other tips and tricks that we have shared, we have our YouTube playlist. We have multitude of videos that accompany any of your needs for technology. So we invite you to check out our YouTube channel. You can see that we have our QR code or our UTD link that will direct you straight to our YouTube channel. Additionally, we would love to hear your feedback. Go ahead and scan the QR code or follow the UTD link survey. We would highly encourage you to share your feedback on the session and any of the other needs that you have technology-wise. We thank you again for coming to our session on Stream. Thank you.